Welcome to Optily Radio, your regular 30-minute dose of everything you need to accelerate your e-commerce marketing success.
Welcome back to Optily Radio. I'm your host, Nina White. I'm very happy to introduce today's guest to you, Rishabh Jain. Rishabh is the co-founder and CEO of Fermat Commerce, a distributed commerce platform built to enable creators to embed brand direct shopping experiences on their own websites. And from the Optily side of things, we are joined once again by Kevin Stagg, our Chief Marketing and Customer Officer. Happy to have you both here today.
Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great to be here too, Nina. And how are you, Rishabh?
I'm great. Yeah, it's 9:30 over here on the West Coast, and as California always is, or San Francisco in particular, it's nice and foggy. So hopefully that burns off in a few hours.
Fun. San Francisco's a great place. I do miss it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how it is you got into the world of creator commerce and coming up with the idea for Fermat Commerce?
Yeah, sure. So I came to, the e-commerce ecosystem a little non-traditionally, as I guess most people do. I actually studied solid-state physics and got my PhD in that up until, 2015. And it was through a random set of events. Actually, I met this guy who was wearing a graphic tee with a blazer and Converse shoes in an interview that I fell into. And I thought to myself, I'm never going to be able to work with people like this again. I have to say yes to this opportunity. And so that led me to work at this tech company called LiveRamp. It was an incredible ride. The company went independently public, and then I was leading our new business teams while I was there, and then saw as the pandemic hit, a number of things changed, right? And I think this is almost a trope at this point, but e-commerce accelerated. But underneath that, I think the thing that was really most astonishing was the share of commerce coming from Shopify merchants was growing, while the share of commerce coming from Amazon was reducing. Similarly, another thing that was hiding underneath the surface of those numbers was the acceleration in creator-driven commerce was growing very dramatically. And it's one of those types of growths where the larger it gets, the faster it's growing. So last year, I think if you saw the eMarketer reports in the US, it was growing roughly 50% year over year, which was faster than the previous years. And then this year, they just released one a few weeks ago saying it's going to grow 100% year over year. Wow. And so as it gets larger, it's growing faster. And these two data points are really quite fascinating, where you start to realize actually people want to shop where they get inspired, right? And so when I was at LiveRamp, I started to realize this, and then there's a bunch of technical backend issues that we can talk about, but essentially this opportunity was sort of screaming at me saying, hey, this is something that people are really passionate about. They love to get inspired and to make purchase decisions upon inspiration. How do we make sure that we provide the tools, allow people to seek value where that value is being given? So that's really sort of how I came into the world of creator commerce, was just sort of living in the world of digital identity and e-commerce in general, and then seeing these trends emerge and saying, hey, this is a place where we really need to be more thoughtful about the tools that we give people.
That's really fascinating. And if I can pick up on a phrase there, it's almost inspired commerce in many respects. So yeah, teach us a bit more give us an intro to what creator-driven commerce is, and because it certainly sounds like it's inspirational commerce, it's inspired commerce, it's where things are, where your passions lie, commerce can lie too.
Yeah. I think I've thought a lot about, why is it that this accelerated so dramatically during the pandemic? And I think that we've always done inspiration-based shopping, and we just didn't use this sort of language. So, when I walk on the high street or when I walk on the main street or wherever it is, I see what other people are using, wearing, whatever it may be, right? And I ask myself, oh, I wonder what that is. And that's generally how a lot of inspiration-based commerce occurs, right? So, when I'm walking around, or especially when I'm walking around in a mall, and I sort of see things in the display window, it's like, oh, that looks super interesting. I wanna learn more about it. Or I just want to buy it because I think it looks great on that person, and I think I look similar to that person, and therefore it'll look great on me. And I think that general human behavior had no choice but to move online. And I think that we just saw what was happening. This is again a trope. We saw what was happening anyway accelerate dramatically. And what we learned was actually the reason why people love to follow influencers is they see parts of themselves in those people, right?
Yeah.
Or it's aspirational. And in either case, you realize, hey, I'm inspired to buy this thing. What is the fastest path for me to purchase it, right? And that's where I think like the most powerful version of the creator economy can emerge, or inspiration-based commerce can emerge.
So it's as if the pandemic has really accelerated this kind of move towards really move away, I guess, from just go after the transaction, as e-commerce probably was for a long time, be efficient at transactions. And it's really trying to say, well, we have these inspirational spaces in real life. How do we create those again in an online space with creativity? And it's I think the pandemic has accelerated a lot of things, and that clearly is one of them, where it's really, as you say, those metrics speak for themselves with 100% year-on-year growth and probably beyond.
Yeah, exactly. One of the areas that I think is often under-discussed is just how much in general content drives intent. I was talking to a brand recently, to their head of growth, and he said the most surprising thing to me. One of their articles that they wrote for, it's one of these sort of how-to articles, right, that people look up. That article's page gets more than double traffic of any other page on their website, including their homepage, which is just astonishing. I mean, people seek out content and ideas, and then yes, the way that they action on those content and ideas is through purchasing various things, but they seek out content and ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think another thing that the pandemic really brought out was this, sense of community. Like, yes, we were all sort of isolated, and so we had to build these online communities, and a lot of that was, around influencers and seeing what other people are doing. So it's definitely a very interesting new way of kind of reaching different audiences. So that kind of brings me into my next question, which is, what are some avenues for direct-to-consumer brands who are looking to expand customer acquisitions as traditional digital marketing is getting a bit more difficult and a bit more expensive?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a ton to unpack there. I love this question. So I'll start with just answering the direct question, and then we can sort of maneuver around in there and try to be as tactical as possible. So I think that when you ask yourself, hey, I already know how to, or quote unquote, I already know how to run digital ads. What are some other ways that I can pull audiences and new customers in? I think that seeking to deploy some sort of content strategy is the first thing that people should do. So there's this thing that is often discussed these days around, hey, if you're a brand right now, you are also a content producer. So just like this podcast, actually, right? Optily is a company, and it's pretty clear, hey, like one of the best ways to add value to your prospect and customer base is producing very high quality content, right? So actually, this podcast is a very good example of you must have a very strong content strategy. And I think any brand of any kind can do this. So let's say you're a new Shopify brand and you're selling baby products, right? So I have a 7-month-old daughter. I'm constantly looking for ideas for new baby products. And so asking the question, hey, what are people looking for when they're online, in order to get inspired for the ways that they can improve their lives when taking care of their child, right? So it's like, okay, what am I looking for recently? I'm looking for, hey, what are some of the best things that I can use to help her with feeding, right? And so if you're a baby products company, you should be writing content to bring value to me around, hey, actually, here are some tips and tricks about when you introduce solids, how you should do it. Here are some of the tools that we found most useful. We happen to be building these particular set of tools, but actually we don't build all of them. For the other parts of what you need, here are some other great brands that we love that you should be considering, right? And I think just more authentically deploying whatever is your content strategy around the item that you are choosing to build. People are trying to solve a problem with that item. And so just talk about that problem as authentically as possible. So that's one channel. I think the next channel is, okay, who are the people who are actually already out there talking about the things that you want to talk about? And so this is where I think about like working with creators, or what is sometimes called influencers. I prefer the word creator because basically these people's number one role is just building content. And so I think about this like, okay, this person is already out there talking about their life with their child, the things that they love to do, the products they love to use. I should just ride alongside them and see if I can authentically actually introduce things into their life that help them, that they authentically want to talk about, right? And share with their audience. And I think that just like you have your own content strategy, being augmentative or being symbiotic with a creator who already has their own content channel is the right way to think about your creator strategy. And then you can worry about the highly tactical questions about, okay, is this person on Instagram? Okay, great. Then I'll actually figure out what is the right way to deploy that content via Instagram. Is this person on a blog? Most parenting things are blog based. Is this person on TikTok? And then you can hone the way you talk about your product through the creator based on the channel that you're using.
And one of the big challenges I found with, say, the earlier days of influencer marketing, before, as you say, it's become creator focused, is that authenticity and finding people that are authentic and that you really want to partner with. And I think there's obviously new ways of finding authentic creators to partner with and to work with and to work alongside. How can we achieve that as marketeers now? How can we find authenticity in market?
So I think that there's like two very tactical things that I would suggest. The first is, I think a lot of people right now, when they do outreach to creators, so there's a number of tools that help you reach out to creators: Upfluence, Grin, Creator IQ. I mean, at this point, the list goes on and on and on. So first of all, I think that these tools are a very good starting point to seeking to understand, how do I even find people to reach out to? I think underneath that, what you need to do is not spray and pray with your messaging. So I've talked to thousands of creators at this point, and the number one thing they all dislike is, hey, here is like a sponsored post opportunity, and it's very clear you have no idea what this person posts about, why they post about it, what they actually care about. So just, spend the extra 10 minutes to go through their content, learn what they actually care about in their lives, and just tailor. Yes, it's going to be a little more time intensive in your reach out, but then you'll actually have something to talk about when you reach out to them. And I think that moves your response rate on the emails out to these people by roughly 4 to 5x. Right. So this is like a very dramatic shift in your ability to actually get people who want to partner with you. At that point, I think understanding that the creator views their creative work as a business, meaning, hey, this is how I make my livelihood, and respecting that fact is super important. So I'll see a lot of brands when they are first starting to work with creators, they think, and I think this is a notion from maybe 6 years ago, that all I need to do is give them the product and they'll produce content about it. That's just not the way that the creator economy works anymore. These people are putting work into that creative output, and so they need to be compensated for that creative output. And that's the only way that they will sustain their audience. And actually, as a brand, you want them to sustain that audience because that's what's driving value for you. And so it's a virtuous cycle when you actually realize that, hey, the creator makes their money from their creative work, and I want to make sure that when I offer to partner with them, it actually fits into their life. And then that's how very tactically I would go about it. Use one of the tools I mentioned, reach out with a message that actually understands what they already talk about, and then understand that this is how they actually build a livelihood.
Yeah. And putting a little bit of the groundwork, as you say, a bit more of the groundwork means you're building for authenticity rather than it being a transaction. And I think, yeah, we can't necessarily compare these kind of creator engagements in the way that we tend to look at some of our other digital marketing tactics, which are a bit more transactional. This needs a little bit of extra work in the front end for sure. Couldn't agree more with you.
Great. Super interesting kind of framework for building a brand creator partnership there. So now tell us a little bit about how Fermat Commerce is shaking things up when it comes to creator commerce and this whole industry.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that we realized when we were talking to creators and to brands was that when you produce this content, today the only way that I as a consumer can action on it is I get redirected from the content to the brand product description page. So basically the life cycle for for a consumer, and actually when you sort of look at it, it kind of starts to appear a little funny. So as a consumer, I see a post, right? So let's just say I follow like a mom blog. I mean, I follow lots of mom blogs now, but let's say I'm following a mom blog and the creator posts something about feeding for their child. Then I click on that and they say, hey, link in bio for, this particular high chair.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I click on that, now all of a sudden I am hitting an experience that has nothing to do with the content that I just came from, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm learning through the lens of this creator about this chair, why it's useful, and then I click on a link and all of a sudden I am encountered with like a product description page, right? And it's just like a standard product description page. I could have come from a Google search. I could have come from the brand's homepage. It doesn't matter where I came from. I hit the same product description page. And so this is like a very, when you sort of zoom out and look at it, it's sort of like a strange thing for this to be true. So now I'm on this product description page and the hope is that I convert, right? But actually what has happened is I was engaging with the creator's content. So what am I more likely to do? I'm more likely to bounce back out and continue to watch the creator's content to learn more about what I was previously learning about. The other approach that people take, which actually works quite well, is they link to the creator's more in-depth content, right? So it's like, hey, here's some short form content, and then here's a more in-depth perspective on how I use this product, why I use it, what happens in my life when I use this product. And that type of content tends to be very engaging, but the better the creator is at driving sales, the higher the bounce rate on their website, right? And when I first heard this early on, as I was talking to creators, this was like a big sort of light bulb moment for me, right? It's like, if I drive a sale in the standard affiliate world, I click out and then now I get bounced off of my page, right?
Yeah.
And so once again, it's like the better your content, the higher your bounce rate. This is like the opposite of any standard funnel.
Entirely.
Right. Yeah. And so you would hope that the better your engagement and the likelihood of conversion, the lower your bounce rate. And so, these things just added up for us and we were like, okay, we need to enable people to drive authentic transactions within the content. And so we're basically building out a full set of tools that allows brands to deploy embeddable shopping experiences that are authentic to the creator with product descriptions that do not look like today's standard product description pages, right? So basically what we do is we ask the question, if I, as a consumer, am looking at a creator's perspective on why something fits into their life in a really great way, actually what I want to know is more about what is this creator's point of view. Show me images of you using it in your regular everyday life, not the sort of like regular product description images. Tell me more about why you love working with this product. Tell me the things that I, as a follower of you, would want to ask about this product, right? And fit that into the purchasing experience as opposed to what happens today. And then I don't need to leave the actual content. I can purchase directly in the creator's blog and have all of the operations be fulfilled by the brand. So from the brand side, it looks like a standard transaction off of their website. We work with Shopify merchants just like you guys, and it basically lives as an app in your Shopify account. And so it just looks like a transaction coming through. You can fulfill the support the way you normally would. You send the receipt. You're the merchant of record for that transaction. And so it allows you as the brand to start to build a relationship with the consumer as if that consumer was working with this creator as like a personal shopper, essentially. And so that's sort of like the toolkit that we're building to help actually deliver this authentic content-based commerce experience.
Really love that. I love the point you made at the beginning there, where we kind of disappoint the user, right? So they're engaged with the content, they're enjoying the content, and then suddenly they're bounced off the content and they're disappointed. The moment they land on that page for a product to potentially purchase, they're actually disappointed because they were enjoying the experience they had. So now they genuinely get the best of both worlds, right? They can continue to enjoy the content and transact if they so choose. So their experience is already quite literally double that what it was, doubly positive. That's that I really love that. I can see how you come to that kind of light bulb moment in that journey that you described, for sure. That really, I'm having that with you now as you describe it, for sure.
No, I'm glad that it resonates. Yeah. And I think, the thing that's most important for us, of course, is making sure that it's like a really authentic and fun experience for the creator in as much as it is for the consumer, right? Purchasing shouldn't feel like something is being taken from you. It should feel like something is being added to your life. And right? Because the whole point is you're trying to solve a problem by buying this product. So
totally. Yeah.
The more that we can actually allow for that to feel that way, I think the more sort of positive sum economic activity that we can enable.
I'm having one of those moments right now of, darn, I wish I'd have thought of that idea. I've had that many times in my career.
Every time I talk to another founder or executive like yourself, I have exactly those same moments. So
when I was reading about Fermat Commerce, one of the things that I was kind of wondering, which you pretty much just addressed, is, okay, the benefit for the creators and the users is clear, but the benefit for the brands in not bringing people over to their site where they can, see that high chair, but then, also see a placemat and a bowl and a spoon and, increase that average order value. Do you think that the more pleasant, I guess, shopping experience would create more orders that would offset the kind of lack of average order value that would result from someone kind of being on a site and browsing around, if that makes sense?
Yeah, 100%. So I think there's really like two questions underneath that question, and you tell me if this is actually a fair representation. The first is, there are truly a set of things that should be purchased together in order to solve your problem. So it's like, let's say my problem is I want to feed my daughter. So I actually I need a placemat, I need the bowl, I need the spoons, I need a high chair. I actually do need all of these things, right? I don't solve my problem by buying one thing. The second question is, okay, is it actually better for the brand to create a first purchase and then to quote unquote upsell or cross-sell after that? Or is it better to try to get everything into the first purchase, right? So I think for the first question, you're exactly right. And the intent is to enable the creator to actually share, hey, actually these things all work together really well. And so we actually have the functionality to enable a cart to be deployed on the creator's site. So you don't actually have to leave the creator's site to build a cart, and actually choose, if you should so choose to do so, choose to pull in multiple items together. That being said, it's actually non-obvious whether seeking to make the average order value higher on the first interaction is actually the best cross-sell opportunity, or is it better to wow somebody with that first product and then have them buy over and over and over again, right? So This sweater that I'm wearing is like a great example of that. So I don't know if you recall from your time in the Bay Area, but there's this clothing company called Marine Layer. And it's reasonably local to the Bay Area, but they make very soft clothing. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's just sort of like mind-blowing soft. And so
I have to check them out.
actually, oh yeah, I highly recommend. And basically, I was told about this and I didn't believe it. Okay, like a friend of mine, we were on a trip together. They're like, "Oh, you got to buy Marine Layer," and I was like, "Okay, I'm sure." But I bought one, right, to like sort of like satiate my curiosity. But actually, after I bought the first one and I put it on, now I have a closet full of Marine Layer clothing, right? So they hooked me after my first purchase, and they did a very smart thing. They said free shipping and returns no matter what, right? So the confidence in your product to say like, you don't like it, no problem, send it back, right? And as soon as the person tries it, they're just, they're a customer forever. I think that is actually the much harder question around how do you create repeat purchasing and increase average order value? Because even though my first interaction was, so to speak, like single item, low average order value, ever since then, I've been like, probably like a top 5 percentile customer. So,
and I think that's build the experience with the customer, the long-term value, as opposed to going after those initial transactions. And in some circumstances, it might be a little bit different, where you do want to increase your cart size. So it really depends on your category, the type of products you're selling as well. So yeah, but it's great to hear that obviously, you've got a solution that flexes toward that, right? It flexes towards those that need a perhaps multi-cart option, and those that, really this is a single purchase to get you started with our brand as a journey. Yeah.
Exactly right.
My last question was going to be, what's one piece of advice that you can give people to accelerate their online businesses? But I think you might have just covered it. Is there anything else you want to tell, Shopify store owners who are, just looking to grow and scale, if there's something else?
I actually just think that I would just echo back to one of the things we talked about earlier. Start thinking about, how do you build amazing content? We know that people love content, right? They look for things, they seek inspiration. Build content and seek to partner with people who are already great at building content, creators of various types. Again, like I said, this podcast is a really great example of that. And so like build content and partner with people who build content. That is the most resilient way to ensuring that you will have durable and compounding engagement with your customers.
Awesome. That's great advice. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time for this episode, but it's been a fascinating conversation. Thank you so much, Kevin, Rishabh. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you. It's been a joy to be here and really enjoyed the discussion.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for your discussion today, Rishabh, and thanks, Nina, as always. Yeah, looking forward to watching this one back. This has been fascinating for me to participate in. So thanks both.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Optily Radio, Accelerate E-commerce Marketing. We're of course brought to you by Optily, the new Shopify app that's revolutionizing how store owners manage their ad spend across Facebook, Instagram, Google, and YouTube. If you're one of the millions who is struggling to know where to spend your marketing dollars for the most impact, try out Optily free for 2 weeks. Watch your returns increase, hours open up in your schedule, and achieve your business goals fast. Learn more at optily.com. We'll catch you back here next time on Optily Radio for more expert tips on growing your online store through marketing. Take care.